Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and all other configuration of being. I am your Camp Half-Blood guidance counselor, Noah the Ark, joined by my partner in crime, as always, the Dark Queen of the Underworld, Aqua Turtle 72. Welcome to another episode of the N.A.S Cast.
Hello.
I love coming up with those kinds of intros.
They're fun.
I know. But yes, welcome back, folks. Me and Sam took a while to think about it, and we're like, yeah, we want to keep doing this as much as we can.
Yeah.
Because we had a lot of fun with the last episode.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It was. So we're gonna try to keep this up as long as we can. But
right.
yeah, I'm ready to talk about some stuff. Are you ready to talk about some stuff?
Yes, definitely.
All right. So to our audience, if it wasn't very clear from that very obvious opening joke, me and Sam were kind of sort of fans of Rick Riordan.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. And I kind of wonder if we should explain who he is, or if we should assume everybody already knows who he is.
I can assume like the Percy Jackson series and the other things that he's worked on are pretty big, but I guess we can just for video's sake, we can probably explain who he is and what he does.
Okay, so for those who have been living under a rock, but if you do live under a rock, no offense, that sounds really cool.
Sometimes I wish I could live under a rock.
Don't we all? But yeah, Rick Riordan is an author who is best known for his books about setting mythology in the modern day. You've probably heard of them. Percy Jackson and the Olympians, Heroes of Olympus, The Kane Chronicles, The Trials of Apollo, Magnus Chasing the Gods of Asgard. Dude has a lot of books written, and they're all fantastic.
Yes.
I specifically remember when I first started reading him. It was a while back, I think in 2013. My sister and my mom were at Walmart, and I was looking at books that had pictures in them because that's all I cared about. My sister was like, Noah, you should read something good. Here, why don't you read this, Percy Jackson? I was like, okay, sure. As I saw the movie, and I was like, yeah, okay, why not? And I couldn't stop.
Yeah, like my brother, I think was initially the one who got me into the books. I knew he was reading them. I didn't really know anything about them, and eventually I picked them up myself. But admittedly, I actually saw the first movie first.
Oh, okay. So we're both in the same boat here.
Yeah.
No, that is very interesting to know. It is a small world after all. But yes, so we're big fans of Rick Riordan and his works. Aqua Turtle herself, Sam, does an amazing Nico D'Angelo cosplay.
Thank you. I plan to add more Percy Jackson characters to my repertoire.
I feel like I should do Percy properly on my TikTok account. Because I did him once, but it was just like a black wig and a blue hoodie. That's the extent. But yes, both big fans, and obviously we were both very excited when we heard about Mythomagic Productions, Rick Riordan's brand new production company focused exclusively on adapting his books.
Yes, and hopefully it'll come out better than the movies that we got.
Oh, hopefully, because that's the reason we're here, folks.
Yes.
Because there has been 2 consecutive movies from the Percy Jackson series. Both are not good. And, before we start hearing more information about what is going down with the new series on Disney+, I think it's important for us to take a step back and just remember the horror that was the Percy Jackson movies.
Yeah.
The Percy Jackson duology, as we can call. Oh, wait. Or should we?
The Peter Johnson movies.
There it is. Thank you. Not Percy Jackson, Peter Johnson movies. Thank you, Sam. So
no problem.
So yes, join us today as we regale/review 2 of by far. Well, what am I saying here? Hold on a second. So join me and Sam as we regale/review/trash 2 of the
completely tear apart
2 of the worst book adaptations of all time. And wait, yeah, I said that right.
Yeah.
Gosh, my brain
Worst book to movie. Some of the worst book to movie adaptations of all time.
Well, okay, well, to be fair, okay, well, we'll get into that when we get into that, but we need to start off with the beginning. 2010, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief. Now, fun fact, Sam, the first I had ever heard of Percy Jackson was the trailer for the movie. Yes, and I distinctly remember that trailer was a good trailer.
It was a good trailer. I still remember the trailer. Like, I'd heard about, like I said, I knew about the books from my brother. I hadn't started reading them yet, but like I knew enough about it to be like, wait a minute, is this going to be like a Percy Jackson thing? And it was.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, that's what we thought, because that trailer really was awesome. Like, you had Logan Lerman as Percy Jackson. Oh, I'm sorry, Peter Johnson. We got to remember that. Walking into the Empire State Building, riding the elevator up, I was like, what's going on? And then the doors open, and it's just Mount Olympus, and I'm like, what? And, as a kid, it just blew my mind.
Right.
It's kind of like,
I was like 9 or 10 years old when this was coming out, so.
I was around 11.
Yeah, I think you're like a year older than me.
Yeah, but it was really awesome. And I open up with that because, as we all know, trailers can be deceiving.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can have a really, really good trailer for what is a really bad movie.
Yeah, and sometimes not a great trailer, and then the movie ends up being really good.
That is true.
This was not the case.
Right. Very much not the case. But I will say this. Out of the two, The Lightning Thief was not a bad movie.
Oh God, yeah. The Sea of Monsters made that look like a masterpiece.
Hey, whoa! Rein in your Pegasi, Sam. We'll get to that. We'll get there. We're gonna get there.
I have thoughts about that movie.
So do I. Oh boy. But I actually do not hate The Lightning Thief. It's not a perfect adaptation, but it's not terrible.
Yeah, like they definitely got some things like way wrong, but
right. It's kind of confusing. So okay, just so people have an understanding here, the Percy Jackson movies were directed by Chris Columbus. And Chris Columbus is the guy who directed the first two Home Alone movies, the good ones, and the first two Harry Potter movies, which were also good.
Yeah, so what happened with Percy Jackson?
Exactly, what happened? And I honestly tried to look for information, but not a lot of information exists about the movies.
Yeah, like it's like eventually Rick Riordan did release like the emails that he sent back and forth between like the people that were writing the script, and good God, they did not listen to him at all.
No, and as I said, I saw the movie before I read the book. So when I read the book, I thought, the book is a lot better than the movie.
Yeah, I'd seen, it's like I was, like as I said, I was like 9 or 10 years old when the movies came out, and I still didn't think they were that great, and I didn't even have the book to go by yet, so it didn't even really work as a standalone movie for me, at least.
Right, and
eventually, like when I read the books, and I was kind of confused by some things, because like in the movie, Clarice isn't there, right? I thought Annabeth was Clarice.
Oh. Huh.
Because she looks like Clarice, and in the movie she looks like Clarice, and she like acted like Clarice.
That is true.
So when I read the books, I was like, wait a minute, who's that?
Right, and trust me, I'm going to bring up something that I've had an issue with when we get to Sea of Monsters. But I think we should start off by saying that the one thing I think we don't hate is the cast for the movies.
Right.
I think that was the best part about them, actually, the cast of the film.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Like, even if the writing wasn't all that great, they did good with what they were given.
Yeah, they did good. And I'm mostly just speaking from, like, when you're visualizing the book, when you're reading it, and, like, you're trying to figure out who looks like what. I think the cast definitely looked the part, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. One
Right.
of the only things they kind of got wrong is that that Annabeth has blonde hair in the books, and they gave her brown
Right.
hair in the first movie.
That is, yeah. Yeah, I agree. That was just don't know what they were doing there. But yeah,
Yeah.
like no problems with the cast. It was good. Like Logan Lerman. I almost said Perlman. Logan Lerman as Percy Jackson. Pretty solid casting choice, I will say. And then you had like Brandon T. Jackson as Grover, Alexandra Daddario as Annabeth. Like pretty good actors. And then there was Sean Bean as Zeus.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know how you quantify that, but props to him because he got to play a role
But
that
he didn't
didn't
die.
die. He got to play a character that did not get killed.
Yeah,
Thank goodness.
you can't kill Zeus. People have tried, and
Right.
usually bad things happen to them.
Right. Usually that is true. But yes, the cast is not an issue with the film. I think a lot of people can agree with that.
Right.
But yeah, the bigger issue with the movie was that, as you said before, they just didn't care.
Yeah, they clearly didn't read the source material.
Right. Like, I remember when I read the book, like, okay, so as we all know, Camp Half-Blood, the place where Greek demigods go to train and survive, stuff like that.
Right.
In the book, it's an actual camp with activities, and it sounds like a fun place you want to hang out at.
Right.
In the movie, it was this really strange place, like a Greek encampment or something like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Like,
remember some of this because I only ever saw the movie once, and that was when I was 9 or 10 years old.
I've seen that movie a lot, so I got a good memory about it. But it was this weird place. It was like some kind of military camp, essentially.
Yeah,
And
the way that it's described. It sounds more like Camp Jupiter.
yeah, that is true, actually. Wait, hold on a second. I'm gonna look something up real fast. But you are absolutely right. So
Yeah, because like the main difference between the two camps is that Camp Half-Blood is like an actual camp with
yes, it's
like
an actual summer
while
camp.
it's still having dangerous activities. There's still like just regular old activities, whereas Camp Jupiter is like a full-on
Right.
Roman training camp.
Huh, that's funny. Actually hilarious because The Son of Neptune came out literally the next year. The movie came out in let me see here. Came out February 12th, 2010, and then The Son of Neptune came out on October 4th, 2011.
Huh. Interesting.
I know, ironic. So maybe
Did the movie predict the book?
I don't think so. I don't think that
Get
movie
film theory on this.
Get Matt Hat on the horde. But yeah, that is true. It did seem more like Camp Jupiter now that I think about it. And they were all wearing like Greek armor and stuff, and it's just like, excuse me? And when I read, because that doesn't sound like camp, that sounds like a different kind of
Military
camp.
Military school.
There we go, military school. But yeah, and the way I quantify is that with the first film, the story was adapted, but the world was not.
Right.
Like, when you follow along with the movie, the story of the book and the story of the movie follow a lot of the same beats to them.
They
Like,
just some of the plot points weren't quite there. Like they
right.
missed Ares and stuff like that.
Right, they definitely cut out a lot of stuff that.
Yeah, and like that was kind of like arguably one of the most important parts because Ares
Right.
is the one that took the bolt, I think.
Right. Ares was the one who stole. Oh wait, before we go any further, I forgot to bring this up. Spoilers.
Yeah, big spoilers.
Big spoilers for the books. I don't give a crap about spoiling bad movies. I do not. But I do care about spoiling good books and good
Right.
movies. So, big spoilers for the books. Big spoilers for pretty much all 5 of the books. Because we're going to bring them up at some point.
Definitely.
But don't worry about movie spoilers. Trust me, you'll thank us later. But now that we got that out of the way, yeah, Ares was a big part of the story because not only was he the only one capable of stealing the lightning bolt because Luke was just a normal demigod. How is he going to sneak into Olympus, steal the bolt, and get out?
Exactly.
But it then set up the events for the next books, where just the entirety of Ares' cabin hates the crap out of Percy, and that causes a lot of issues.
Yeah, especially Clarice, and that just makes no sense because she wasn't even in the first movie.
Exactly.
She was completely cut. And then magically pops up later, I guess.
Right. It's very confusing. And they definitely did change a lot of events. Like, we're talking a lot of events, people. So, basically, as I said, spoilers for the book, but in the book, Percy, Grover, and Annabeth go on a quest to retrieve the lightning bolt from Hades. In the book, it was a quest that was given to them by the Oracle. In the movie, they're treated as a band of badass rebels, rebellious teenagers, essentially, who just decide to leave and do it themselves.
Right.
Which is not how it went down in the book.
Yeah, like it was one, get the lightning bolt, and also to try and get Percy's mother out of the underworld,
which was Percy's secret objective.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, exactly. He had an alternative motive, but yeah. So already out of the gates, that seems kind of off.
Yeah.
But then again, that is a running theme for the first movie. It's just off.
Yeah, it's just slightly off. I think the only scene they ever really got kind of correct was the whole thing in the Lotus Hotel. Everybody agrees that was the best scene in the movie.
Okay, yes. Aside from the overuse of Poker Face.
Yeah.
That is always used when why didn't they use something cool like Viva Las Vegas by Elvis? Like,
because it's got poker in the name and it's got, I don't know, casinos and stuff.
Right. Like, seriously. But then again, that was back in the early 2010s when you couldn't escape Lady Gaga.
When Lady Gaga was like reigning supreme everywhere.
Yeah. But yeah, the Lotus Hotel was the best part. Looking back on it, the scene with Medusa was also somewhat right. But
yeah, that was pretty good too.
Right. But as we're probably going to be saying a lot in this episode, the book did it better.
Yeah.
Like, in the book, they were trying to take a bus to LA, but then the bus got attacked by the Furies. So, they were left stranded, without any food, without any money, without nothing. And then, they wound up near Medusa's hideout, which was a statuary and a diner.
Right.
Right, and then, she lures them in under the guise of helpfulness and nearly turns them to stone. And it's just, when you're reading this, it's an intense scene of, ooh, what's going to happen next?
Right.
Right, just a slow, real life. Even though I knew that Medusa was in there, when I read the book, I was like, oh, this is better than the movie. Because, yeah, you had the whole intensity of just like, Annabeth just slowly piecing it together, Percy being a moron, not knowing what's going on, and then Grover just affixed to his uncle. Just like, that is my uncle turned to stone.
Yeah, like, that's gotta be traumatized. Just like, that's my uncle. I
know. And it was really friggin' good.
Yeah.
Like, it was fantastic. It was very well done. And not to say that the movie didn't do it any lesser. Like, the movie definitely did a good job.
But the book was still better.
The book was still better, yes. Although, it's kind of odd. I just found this out. Uma Thurman played Medusa in the movie.
Oh.
Yeah. So, that's kind of a strange casting choice, but then again, I mean, I'm not complaining.
Yeah, I mean, she did a good job.
That is true. And, oh yeah, that's the other thing I should mention. With the way they set it up in the movie, Luke gave them a roadmap to find the pearls that they would need to escape the underworld. Right. Which is not what happened in the book. They got those later.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think that was in like a different. Was that a different book?
No, that was the first book.
Okay, yeah.
It was.
Man, I just reread the first series at the beginning of this quarantine, and I didn't remember.
Yeah, I remember actually. Percy went into the waters in Los Angeles, out into the ocean, and one of Poseidon's servants gave him 3 pearls. And we'll come back to those pearls because there's something important to talk about.
Right.
But yeah.
Okay, I was thinking of a scene in one of the later books, but that involved a sand dollar. So.
Right. But yeah, so instead in the movie, Luke gives them a map that has the pearls in different locations. One's in Medusa's lair, another's in Las Vegas, and the third one's in Tennessee.
Why?
Yes, thank you. Why?
Why in all places Tennessee?
Well, hey, Tennessee's a lovely place.
I know, but like that doesn't have like nothing to do with anything that happened in the book or the movie.
Right, exactly. Well, technically, something that happens there does happen in the book. They get attacked by the Hydra, except for the fact that doesn't happen until the second book.
Yeah.
Right. And of course, because they now, of course, I understand why they made that change, because when adapting a book, you can't adapt everything. You know, you got to do something to change it up. But they definitely limited what interesting events they could have tackled.
Yeah, like they removed Ares in favor of Quest for Pearls.
Right, and the St. Louis Arch, which was a very traumatizing part of the book.
Oh god, because, yeah, like I thought Percy was gonna literally die.
Right. But that also highlights another problem with the movie that the book does well. The book does a great job of highlighting the fact that even though normal people can't see what's going on, they can still get hurt.
Right.
They're still in mortal danger. And that's what the St. Louis Arch scene definitely provided. And it gave a lot of impact to what they're doing. Like, this isn't just affecting our world, it's affecting the mortal realm as well. So we got to do this. It's
affecting everything.
It affects everything. We've got to get that lightning bolt back before a war of the gods starts and destroys everybody. But but because the movie tried to streamline everything, it loses that impact.
Yeah.
And another thing, actually, going back to the Lotus Casino, they also butchered that as well, because in the book, it wasn't malicious at all. It was just like, you come in, have a good time, all that. And just
walk back out. Oh god, I've been here for 10 years.
That's right. But in the movie, they try to turn it into this whole, Men in Black trying to keep people locked in conspiracy thing. And it's just like, how many more cliches you wanna check off the list here? I got the list of cliches here. You want some kind of random plot twist where like Luke and Percy are lovers? I'm glad they didn't do that. That would have been ridiculous. Just saying.
Yeah, like, no, they were too busy trying to push the Annabeth Percy thing on in the first book, when we all know that doesn't happen until later.
Yeah, way later, because as I'll say, Rick Riordan, if you're watching this, you're a genius. Literary genius. But yeah, so that is one of the issues with the first movie. Like, as we've been saying this whole time, it's not a bad movie. It's just a bad adaptation.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It does look good, I will admit that. It had a lot of great scenes. I think that the fight scene between Percy and Luke Castellans at the end was a nice addition.
Yeah, although I don't think, like, one thing I will, like, add in, the whole plot twist with Luke being bad in the book, you know, it felt like that. It felt like a plot twist. You didn't know that was coming. But in the movie, it just seemed a little too obvious. Yeah. They made Luke a little too angsty.
Right, exactly. It's like the hard, like back at Camp Half-Blood, when everything's just super strict and uptight, and then you got Luke sitting in his cabin all alone. And there were no cabins at Camp Half-Blood. What the heck?
Yeah, also, like, in the books, the Hermes cabin is where, like, all of the unclaimed kids go.
Right, and it's just a crowded mess.
So it should be, like, chock full of people instead of Luke just sitting there with his little gaming console doing
that's exactly
angsty teenager things.
It's just like, welcome to the future. And it's just like, this guy's a mega douchebag! This guy must be...
But, like, in the books, he's, like, kind of everybody's, like, older brother figure.
He's just like, hey, how you guys doing? Come on in, sit down, have some hot chocolate. We're just gonna chill out. Like, he seems like a very nice guy. Like, the kind of guy you want to hang out with. So,
like, you feel betrayed along with Percy at the end of the book when he's revealed to be working to revive Kronos.
Right, and it's just like, what? But dude,
Ouch,
we had
man.
hot chocolate. Yeah, that was laced with small amounts of arsenic. You're gonna die in 7 days.
Also, here's this scorpion that I'm gonna like kill you with. Oh, excuse my language.
Oh, yep, right. We gotta keep this PG.
Sorry.
I'll censor that. Don't worry. But yeah, like the final fight scene was cool, but yeah, Luke's plot twist thing was not well done. I will
Yeah.
say
Also he like basically got impaled by a water triton and thrown into a lake. You can't survive that.
an ocean.
An ocean,
Right.
and he just comes back out in the next movie unscathed. No, you drowned.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Don't worry. Keep your pants on. But
One other thing I do have problems with, because they aged up the characters.
yes.
I
That
had to bring that in.
Right.
So it made some of the writing a little awkward because they're still written like they're 12, but in the
yes,
movie they're
Karen,
like
that's
16.
That's right, Karens. When these books started, they were 12 years old. But they were demigods, so I think they were okay.
Yeah, and just that was another one of the writing problems because they still acted like they were 12.
Right, even though they were practically adults.
Exactly. It's just like
Yeah.
and it feels like they honestly aged up the character just to try to push that romance between Percy and Annabeth too quickly.
Right. And of course, their argument would be, oh, well, we couldn't actually get the actual age of the actors because that wouldn't work. The Harry Potter movie.
Harry Potter did that!
Yes! I'm not a big Harry Potter guy. I'm not a big fan of J.K. Rowling. But I will say this.
Trust me, nobody is.
I saw the first Harry Potter movie. Wasn't a big fan of it. But I will say that the kid actors nailed it.
Yeah, they did good casting for Harry Potter.
It. And you would think that Chris Columbus would object to an argument like that because he directed that movie.
Nope.
I guess not. But if we are going to talk about like stuff from the movie that was good, The Underworld was great.
Right, that was pretty good.
Right, I mean they over stylized it a lot, but it wasn't all that bad. I actually liked it.
I think they did pretty good casting for Hades.
Oh yeah, I loved that dude. He just hammed it up.
That's just what seems like Hades would be.
Yeah, I know. Like if there's any good thing Disney did, it was how they depicted Hades in the Hercules movie.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's like the best.
And even in the book, Hades is a bit snarky.
Right. I mean, I would be too if you had the choice between if you and your three brothers had the choice between the skies, the ocean, and the underworld, and you ended up with the underworld, I'd be a little angry too.
That's right. That is exactly right. And they kept a lot of, but once again, they had to meddle with it because in the book, Hades had no interest in. Oh yeah, and that brings up one of the best plot twists from the book. Percy had the Master Bolt the whole time.
Right.
Right. We've been talking about Ares, so I think we should clarify this. Ares in the book was the one who stole the lightning bolt. And then he helped the gang out when they were stranded in I think South Dakota.
One of those places.
One of those places. And he strolled up on a motorcycle with human leather seats, very stylish. And he gave them money, clothes, food, and a nice lovely backpack.
Things that, they could survive because they're 12-year-olds out in the world.
Yes. Except the backpack was actually the disguised form of the sheath for the Master Bolt, Zeus's main lightning bolt.
Right.
So when Percy and the gang got to the underworld, Hades was like, "Oh, I don't have the Master Bolt. You have it." Which is why everybody thought that Percy Jackson was the lightning thief because he had it the whole time.
And everybody was aware of it except for Percy.
That's right. Not even Annabeth and Grover knew.
Yeah, none of them knew. It was just,
yeah,
you have the lightning bolt. No, I don't.
Yes, you do. And to the movie's credit, they did do that. But they did it with the shield. Another thing from the second book that they brought into the first movie for no reason.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, the Master Bolt was in the shield that Luke gave to Percy from the very beginning. So that survived, and I think that was pretty nice. But trying to make Hades out to be this ultimate villain, that's kind of where the issues with Disney start to pop in. The Disney portrayal,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah,
Because,
because everybody does that with Hades.
right,
Hades is the god of the underworld, so therefore he's obviously the bad guy. But no, he's just the
right.
god of the underworld. And
That's
like
right.
in
Rick,
the original Greek mythology, he's never treated as a bad guy. He's just treated as the ruler of his realm.
that's right. There, so
Because we
far
all know
there.
that Zeus is the real bad guy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, Rick Riordan said, "I will defy tradition. Hades is not a bad guy. He's just a dude." Very.
It's Zeus is the problem.
That's right. Made that
He causes
abundantly clear.
all of the problems.
But yeah, so I think we've kind of exhausted talking about the first movie.
Yeah.
Like, is there anything else you want to like bring up that I'm forgetting?
No, I think we've brought up all of the points, like,
Yeah, I
what they
think
did, what they didn't do, and,
right,
the problems with aging up the characters and stuff like
right,
that.
all the
I think we've
issues.
got it.
Right. So like, as we've stated, this is not a bad movie. It is well acted. The writing is a bit awkward, but it's not terrible. Just that the problem with the movie is that it prioritized adapting the story more so than adapting the world.
Yeah, and trying to
Like,
push a romance that didn't exist yet.
right, like to go back to Harry Potter, The Lord of the Rings, those film adaptations, they did a good job balancing both the world building and the story. They did
Right.
so in many smart ways. It helped that J.K. Rowling was a part of the production of the Harry Potter movies throughout all of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
And
definitely.
it helped that every single person working on the Lord of the Rings trilogy were Lord of the Rings fans
Yeah.
who knew what they wanted. But the Percy Jackson movies, well,
They just probably just read the back of the book and just figured,
right,
we know enough.
that's a good description. They just read the back of the book and said, we can roll with this. And
Yeah, and like as I mentioned earlier, like the Rick eventually released the emails that he sent back and forth. He offered to revise the script
right,
for them, and
right,
they didn't take it.
which is dumb in a lot of
Like
ways. And once again,
you would think that you would want help from the person who knows the content best. And if he's saying, "Look, this script is bad. We can
yeah,
both agree on that.
right,
Let me revise it for you and we can continue to talk."
right.
That didn't happen.
It did not happen. And I want to stress this again. Chris Columbus directed the first two Harry Potter movies, which had J.K. Rowling's involvement. Those were very, very good. What happened?
Yeah, what, Chris?
Like, I
I
know
just
for a
need to
fact
talk.
that yeah, I know for a fact that Chris Columbus did indeed direct the first movie and the second movie. Oh wait, no, it turns out he didn't direct the second movie.
Yeah, I remember.
His
I
production
distinctly
company was involved.
Yeah, I do remember like when me and my brother heard wind of the second movie coming out, and he told me that like there was going to be a different person involved, and I'm like,
Right.
okay, maybe they'll get it right this time.
Nope. But
Nope.
then again, as we brought up also, there were moments the movie had that were well from the book and were well done. It wasn't all terrible.
Right, it
was
wasn't
just,
all terrible. Like I still didn't like it,
but
but it wasn't like
it was
Giver levels of bad.
yeah, that is very much true. So we might be giving Chris Columbus flack for no discernible reason, because for all we know, he probably wanted to make these as best as he could. He was just being bogged down by the studio and all that to make
Right.
something that everyone that could just make money and that's it. Because the
Yeah,
Percy Jackson
exactly.
books were very popular back in that time, still popular today.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, we've exhausted the Lightning Thief. It's not a
Move
bad
on to the
movie.
next one.
Wait, no, before we move on, I just want to go on a quick little rant here about Joe Pantoliano, who plays Gabe, Percy's stepdad.
Oh yeah. I forgot
If I
about
make a
him for a
movie,
second.
if I make a movie and it has like a mentor character, a really nice mentor character, I'm casting Joe as that mentor character because I'm so sick of him being typecast as this sleazy dirtbag. Like he's always cast as that kind of character. He was that kind of character in Baby's Day Out. He was that character in The Matrix, and he was that character in The Lightning Thief. And I'm just kind of
Right.
sick of that. I just want to see that dude, have a role where he's not a douche.
I guess he's what's known as a character actor. He usually ends up getting cast as the same type of character in everything that he's in.
That's not a character actor. That's typecasting.
Oh, right. Same.
Yeah. Okay,
Typecasting. I was getting the two mixed up.
Right. But yes, so Lightning Thief, I saw that before I read the book. I read the book in 2013. I liked it. Liked the book better than the movie. And then I read the second book, Sea of Monsters. And then I saw the trailers for the movie and I was like, hey, this looks pretty good. Like, there's a lot of scenes here that I recognize from the book.
But we were deceived yet again.
Yes. Let's come out of the. We've been hinting at it, so I don't think we need to hide it from the audience.
No.
You want to say it, or can I say it? How about we both say it at the same time? Ready?
Wait, what are we saying exactly?
That it's bad.
Oh yes.
Let's get that both out of the way. So so 3, 2, 1. It's bad.
It's bad.
It's bad. It's a bad movie.
It was so bad.
It was bad.
Yeah. Like, oh god.
Like Sam said earlier, it makes the first movie look like a masterpiece.
Yeah. Like, me and my brother, we saw it. We had such high hopes for this because, like, we both didn't like the first movie. He obviously disliked it for different reasons than I disliked it because he'd read the books by that point in time. So he knew everything that was wrong. I didn't. I just thought it was not a great movie. But then by that point in time, both of us had read the books and we were like, please be good.
Nope.
Please be good.
Somehow, it was not. In fact, somehow,
it was even worse.
It was even worse. And it was worse because of one thing. Like I said before, the first movie was more focused on adapting the story than the universe. Totally different direction in the second one. By totally different direction, I mean they went with the first direction, but switched the priorities.
Right.
It was no longer about continuing from that universe they had established with the first movie, because if that was done, then like, okay, this is like an alternate universe, like a parallel, like an alternate telling of the tale. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if they had done that, then it's fine. No, out from the very beginning of the movie, they just drop lore on people. Like, first few minutes of the movie, you got the Cyclopses chasing them through the woods. You got Annabeth, you got Luke, you got Grover, and you got Talia. You got Talia dying. You got her becoming the tree and the shield, and just, whoa, slow down.
Yeah, it's like, because like that was brought up in the first book too.
Oh.
Like that was brought up, and I think they were like, oh crap, they realized they've forgotten. Like, stuff it in.
Oh, but then it ain't over yet. And then it immediately cuts to like a pretty epic montage of them on the rock wall that spews lava and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, they just throw that in out of nowhere, and then they got Dionysus just sitting there, and it's like, huh?
Who's this guy?
Right, exactly. Now, as fans of the books, we know who these characters are, so it's not jarring. But to someone who's coming from just the first movie to the second one, they're going to be confused.
Yeah, because Dionysus wasn't there in the first movie.
None of that was there. And Camp Half-Blood is completely different. It's no longer a Greek camp. It's now an actual camp. And, like, the house is there. The oracle's there. Annabeth's blonde again. They're making reference to the mist.
Clarice exists.
Clarice exists. She just comes out of nowhere. Just like, I was there the whole time. You just didn't see me. I was in the background. Like, I mean, they could have justified it like, oh, no, she was there. She was there. She was one of the people who attacked Luke and Percy at the river.
Remember how much she hates Percy? Remember how we established that?
Yeah, and it's just like, she was one of the people who attacked Luke and Percy. Those were all guys. Wait, she's not a guy? That's what it's like. And it's like, I guess oh wait, that explains it! That's why it was so bad. Thor himself directed it. He got impatient about Rick writing a book about Norse mythology, so he's like, fine, I'll sabotage the movie. I didn't notice that. I thought it was Troy. But no, I guess Thor Frudenhall just wanted to, like, make the movie for fans, which in many cases is a good thing, but not in this case.
Nope.
No, like, if you're focusing on this being for the general movie viewing audience, then don't start appealing to the fans midway through. Like, you don't do that.
Yeah.
It's
just almost like we know that, like, the last movie wasn't that great, so we're just gonna shove everything into this one.
Right.
They'll like it.
Yeah, I know. Now, I know our audience thinking,
look, we have lore.
Yeah, we have the lore. And just so then our audience lets that sink in and has that, oh crap face, everything that we just mentioned happens in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes, we're not making this up. Everything that I just brought up is dumped on you in the first few minutes of the movie.
Yeah, that was an overload.
Right. And then they proceed to continue making the mistakes that they made with the first one. For example, not adapting the story well.
Right.
In fact, like I said, with the first film, the story wasn't a one-to-one adaptation, but it did hit all the same beats.
Yeah.
Not so in Sea of Monsters. In Sea of Monsters, they don't hit any of the beats. It's just completely different all the way through.
Yeah, it did not go well.
Yeah. Like, in the book, it started out with Percy in his normal life, with his new friend, Tyson.
Yeah.
And
forget to mention that part.
Yeah, until later, but we'll get to there. But yeah, he's just hanging out with Tyson.
Cyclops' brother.
Yeah. He's hanging out with Tyson. They get attacked. Percy's got to flee that Camp Half-Blood. Getting attacked there, by Hephaestus' bulls. Both of his bulls, which are absent in the movie. There's just one.
Yeah, one bull that just comes out of nowhere.
And it's just like, huh? Where did you come from? And
tree's dying.
Right. And there's the other issue. Like, the bull, as you said, just comes out of nowhere. And that's going to cause people to be confused. Like, wait, I thought there was a shield around the place. Like...
Oh, there is a shield. It's just broken now.
Yeah. But... And it's because they didn't establish that in the first movie, they can't do that. But they did it anyways. Like, the reason in the books, not the Erymanthian bulls, Hephaestus' bulls attacking the camp was a big deal was because we knew about the protective barrier. And we knew about Talia.
Right. Like, because that was established in the first book.
Right. So...
we got that knowledge, but we didn't get that in the movies.
Yes, exactly.
And then it was just thrown into the second movie. It's just like, wait, what's going on now? Why is this a big deal again?
Yeah. And they try to make the tree a big deal, but it's going to be hard for the audience. And it was even hard for me to have some kind of connection because, of course, no one knows who the hell Talia is.
Yeah, she wasn't even mentioned until this movie. I don't even think the tree was any sort of plot point in the first movie.
Not at all. It wasn't a plot point at all.
I don't even remember if that tree was there.
It wasn't. In fact, it was a gate.
What the?
Like, what? Like, to be fair, there was a gate in the second movie. Like, great continuity, guys, but I think you're putting it into the wrong places. But yeah, like, Hephaestus' bull attacks, just bull, and then Percy single-handedly destroys it, which is a problem.
I think Tyson had something to do with it in there, too. Yep. I can't remember.
And all the other campers. Because one of the, like, overarching themes of the Percy Jackson books is that they can't just do it alone. You need a team.
Right.
Like, it's the whole, you need teamwork to save the day shtick, except you really do because you're fighting for your life.
Yeah, and like it's an established point in like the books that like most demigods don't live for very long.
Yeah, which is why
So you kind of need that teamwork or else you're
Right.
gonna die.
But in the movie, no, Percy Jackson's the son of Poseidon. He can do anything. Whereas in the books, Percy wasn't a badass until like the Battle of the Labyrinth.
Yeah,
For the
because
first three
like
books, he was a coward.
yeah, because
Well,
he was still a child. In the
yeah,
first book, he was 12. In the second book, I think he was
yeah,
like probably still 12 or 13 years old.
right. And it's just
He was still
what?
new to this whole thing.
He was
Like,
whole, yeah,
Annabeth and Grover, they've been in this for a while, but he's only been in there for like a year.
yeah, exactly. Uh, but I do like Tyson in the movie. Like, I think just like with Logan Lerman, the guy who played Tyson, did a good job of what he was given, but
Right.
it wasn't good enough,
Right.
sadly,
It
because
wasn't enough to save the movie.
oh, oof, oh boy. But yeah, so like we said, people, this all happens within the first few minutes. It
Yeah,
just
it's a complete gigantic lore dump.
right, and then they have the audacity to try and explain the whole prophecy of like, okay, just to explain it to people so they're on the same page. In the Percy Jackson universe, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, they aren't supposed to have kids.
Right, because it would just be they'd be too powerful.
Right. The last time they had a lot of kids, it resulted in World War II.
Yeah, and so they were just like, okay, we're not going to do this again.
Yes.
We're not going to have any more kids. But of course, that didn't happen.
Right. Especially considering the fact that there was a prophecy.
Right.
A child of the eldest gods shall reach 16 against all odds. And I forget the middle part. And then Olympus to protect or raise. I remember the first two parts, but I forgot the last two.
Either way, it just boils down to like a child of the big three
Yes.
could possibly destroy the world.
Right, exactly. And they try to shoehorn that in the first part of the movie. And it's just like, no, Percy doesn't learn this fact until later.
Right.
Because that was like the whole point about introducing Talia and making her a focal point of that story. Because it leads to Percy realizing why she was attacked.
Yeah, and because like I think that was another thing brought up in the first book. I think like it was just brought up that like the big three elder gods,
Yes.
they just couldn't have kids because they were too powerful, and that's why Talia died, because they were
right
getting attacked and stuff like that, and she sacrificed herself and then the tree.
Right, but in the second book, it was then explained that there was another reason they made that pact. There was a prophecy that their children would destroy them, just like they destroyed the Titans.
Right.
And, that's good. That just adds a bit of edge between the gods and their children. Because, like, what, you didn't have us because you were afraid for yourselves? Like, if just think about yourselves? Which would be great if it was emphasized in the first movie, but we've established at this point that that wasn't the case.
Exactly. Like in the first movie, it just seemed like Percy was the only one.
Yes.
Talia, not there.
Right. It just...
Nico, not mentioned yet because he doesn't come in until the third book.
Oh, yeah. But it was just confusing. And then and then the lore dumping just keeps going. And, like, I freaking love it when media calls back to lore. Like, just a random example, I'm a big Transformers nut. I love Transformers, and I was watching the new War for Cybertron series on Netflix. What happened? What the? You there?
Sorry about that.
Oh, all right, we're back. Sorry about that, folks.
I was trying to break up my two kittens. They were getting a little rough, and then one of them grabbed my earbud, and there's a button on my earbud, and I didn't know it would end the meeting.
Oh, boy. Well, it didn't end the meeting, but you did leave it. Sorry about that, folks. We had a little technical difficulty.
Didn't think that would happen. Didn't know that's what the button did.
Nope. Whew.
Usually it just starts playing. Usually it'll just start playing music. I didn't think it would boot me from the meeting.
Oh boy. But yeah, back to what I was talking about. I love it when media just goes all in on references that just the fans know. And as I was saying,
Right.
I was watching the Transformers War for Cybertron series on Netflix. Towards the end, they brought up a character that was from Japan only, and then I was just like, what? That's so awesome! But that only worked because, well, I know about him.
Right.
And,
The
yeah.
The Peter Johnson movies were clearly trying to go for that, except for the fact they missed one thing. Nobody knew about that.
Right. The audience didn't know about that. The general audience, the people who haven't read the books, don't know about that. They don't know about the mist. They don't know about how the Greek part of the world is hidden from everyone else. They didn't know that at all. That's only something fans are gonna know. And when you try to
once you actually read the book, the general movie-going populace is not going to know that.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, moving on. So, Clarice gets the quest, which she accepts excitedly, which is not what happened in the book. In fact, in the book, she was a bit hesitant.
Right. Because
And-
it's a big thing.
Right, and then Percy, Annabeth, Grover, and Tyson just snuck out and went out to help out, which did happen in the book, except Grover wasn't there.
Right.
And then Grover gets kidnapped by Luke, and then they go to see Hermes, who's played by Nathan Fillion. I'm not making that up.
I don't remember who Nathan Fillion is.
Hold on a second. Let me just pull it up here real quick. He was Malcolm Mal Reynolds on Firefly, and Richard Castle on Castle.
Okay, I've never seen either of them.
Okay, I thought it was Brendan Fraser. I'm sorry. When that movie came out, I thought, is Brendan Fraser playing Hermes?
I mean, I wouldn't object to that.
Right. I mean,
Brendan Fraser's cool.
Yeah, I know. And they have Hermes portrayed as a delivery guy dressed as in a suit and all that, and okay, yeah, that's cool. That's a great reference back to the book. That only I know of. The rest of your audience are going to be confused.
Who's this dude with the weird staff thing?
Oh, he's Luke's dad? Okay. I don't think the first movie... Oh, no, they did emphasize that Luke was the son of Hermes, but like you said, Luke friggin' drowned.
Yeah.
In the first movie, but he's back somehow with his army on the Princess Andromeda, and gonna go on a rant here. What the hell did they do to the Andromeda? Seriously, in the book, it's a friggin' cruise ship! Packed to the brim with hellhounds, harpies, gorgons, and just minotaurs, and all these different monsters! They're friggin' zombies! And just ever demigods, and it's this army, this threatening army. In the movie, it's a yacht. A friggin' yacht with a bunch of random demigods, a discount troll, and I think a chimera.
I think they wasted all of their budget on Kronos at the end.
What?
And also the chimeras, I'm pretty sure, or I'm thinking, I don't know, they did bring a monster in from the third book.
Yeah.
I just can't.
Oh my gosh, that was horrible. It's and Luke still called it his army.
It's dude, that's not an army.
What are you gonna conquer? The Dairy Queen down the street? Seriously, this isn't an army. This is a band of misfits at best. This is discount Guardians of the Galaxy hours. It's oh man, that was just horrible.
Yeah, it was not good.
And it gets worse from there. The whole awesome battle on the Confederate ship between Cecilia and the Ever Monster, the big mouth in the ocean. Forget the name, but
shoot, I know what it is, but I
hang
can't.
on,
I know.
I can actually.
I know
it up.
it was in the Odyssey because I
Yes.
had to read that in freshman year. I know what it is. I just can't remember the name.
Charybdis and Scylla.
That's the one.
There we go. In the book, it was this huge, awesome battle with two monsters on every side, and Percy and Clarice arguing with each other over what to do. Poor Tyson's just sucking his thumb. What a bean. But just like, it's this big climactic battle, and in the movie, oh, well, they just get swallowed. It's like, and then Skyla is in the movie, but it's just like, oh yeah, she just came down and ate my Seder guide. And it's just like, okay, you're gonna...
All right.
And just to give people an idea, this film had a budget of $90 million.
And they used it all to raise Kronos.
Yep. We'll get there. We'll get there. And just as a comparison, the next year... Oh, wait, no, never mind. I was about to compare the Guardians of the Galaxy, but it had way more of a budget. But,
right.
Yeah, like, if you're going to cut stuff out, cut out stuff that doesn't need to be there.
Like, yeah, instead of, like, say, because they cut out the whole thing with Circe's Island.
Yes, that was a really interesting part of the book.
Yeah, what? You just didn't want to turn Percy into a guinea pig? Is that it?
Yeah, like, I know it would give art fuel to a lot of people in DeviantArt, but you gotta do it at least.
It was a pretty big plot point. Instead, you just like, oh, it's a
no, they wind up at Discount Disneyland.
Yeah, they say, oh, it's an abandoned theme park.
Yes,
but that was in the first book.
Yeah, it was.
That wasn't. I'm pretty sure the theme park was. It's like they.
Oh yeah, it was. I remember that now.
Yeah, they went to the abandoned theme park in the first book. I don't remember exactly what they were after. They needed to get something for Ares.
Shield.
Yeah, they needed to get Ares' shield. The whole thing was there. They ended up in a trap that Hephaestus set to try and catch Ares and Aphrodite. Then that happened in the second movie.
What the hell? And then to top it all off, they start seeing it's a small world. And I'm pretty sure Disney
and also it's also the Cyclops' cave somehow.
Yep. It is the definition of what the actual hell.
Yeah, they did what they did in the first 5 minutes in the last 5 minutes as well. They've crammed in all of this other stuff too.
Right. And it doesn't help that somehow, some way, the writing and acting just went downhill. Like, at least in the first movie, they did a good job with, telling people what's going on with the visuals and the backgrounds and all of that, locations. But the second movie, it's just exposition after exposition after exposition.
Yeah. And, stupid one-liners, you're not going to get away with this. And then, some crazy stuff going on in the background.
Again.
I think they wasted all of their money on, CGI and then just forgot that they had a script.
Right, exactly. It's like a Michael Bay movie. What script? There is no script.
It's just Kronos explosions.
Oh, frick, we're gonna get that hard.
Oh, God.
But yes, folks, we're telling you this right now. It's not a good movie. We can at least recommend watching The Lightning Thief for fun, because it's at least an okay movie.
It's goofy.
It's goofy, but, you can watch it, and it's fun. Sea of Monsters is not fun.
No, it's just bad.
It's bad, and it's boring, but above all else, they fail at the one thing they clearly set out to do, and that is appeal to the fans. That is what they failed at the most. Because we grew up with these characters. We read about them. We know what their relationships are. You can't just expect every people, and that's the thing, we want every people to enjoy this. This isn't some gatekeeping thing of, oh, you should be as accurate in the book as possible. No, you should try to help introduce every people into it.
Yeah, if you're like me and you saw the movie first, and if you like the movie, or in my case didn't like the movie, then maybe you want to find out what the source material is like.
Right.
If you don't like the movie, you might not want to see what the source material is like, because you might think that it was just as bad.
Right, which is a shame, because as we've mentioned up to this point, Rick Riordan, friggin' genius.
Exactly.
But yeah, if you have to find a way to make it inviting for new people, but seasoned forevers.
Right.
For the veterans. This film doesn't do that.
No.
It just it doesn't even read the back of the book. It reads
No, it just saw Sea of Monsters. Like, okay, we put sea and we put monsters. We're done.
We did it! And it's like, what? And just to give people an idea here, 2013 was the same year when The Hunger Games Catching Fire, a good movie based on a book, came out. And I have read Catching Fire, and the movie is on the same level as the book.
I haven't read The Hunger Games. I've only seen the movies because Hunger Games is not really my jam. But yeah, it was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. No, not The Desolation of Smaug. An Unexpected Journey. That was also a good film. The other two, not so much. But that one, yes. So, and those were some big movies. And again, Percy Jackson is just as big as those books. So, why
wasn't it treated with the same respect?
Exactly. Oh, but we've reached it, folks. Like, we have reached the point. If at any point you've been thinking that we don't know what we're talking about, the ending, the big climactic moment.
It was all over the place.
Frick. Oh boy, where do I even begin with this?
Like, we get into Circe's Island theme park, abandoned theme park. We find Grover inside the Cyclops cave. Luke is somehow alive.
They get the golden fleece.
And you also have the coffin of Kronos, which isn't, like, brought in until, I think,
no,
the
it
third
was
or
in the
fourth
second book.
It just wasn't, you know...
Yeah, except as Luke said in the book, Kronos is just piecing himself back together.
Yeah, that's why they need the fleece. Yeah, so they have the fleece, and they raise Kronos as this giant devil-looking man.
Yes.
And he picks Luke up and is just like, hey, I'm trying to help you. And he just chucks him into the Cyclops cave.
No, he eats him first, and then he eats Grover. And then Luke's army runs off because, as we've established, this army couldn't take over a Walmart. We're just establishing that. And then...
And then you bring in that freaking... And then you bring in... Oh, I think Tyson, like, gets yeeted off the edge and
he also
presumed dead.
Yes, right! And then it's just like, oh, right, he's a son of... And then Percy's like, you're my brother, Tyson. And it's just like, I want to throw up now. Because it was handled so much better in the book.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, Tyson, like, was, like, disappeared in the...
Yeah, the battle against the monsters.
Right, yeah, he was swallowed. Yeah. They thought he was dead, and, like, Percy was really upset. And then, you know, he reappears later.
Right. And, like, for the first half of Sea of Monsters, Percy hates Tyson.
Yeah, exactly.
He hates the thought of having a Cyclops for a brother. But then
he's having a hard time, like, dealing with that.
But then, when Tyson seems to be dead, Percy's like, I was a jackass.
Right, he goes through character growth.
Yeah, and then when Tyson comes back, Percy's just like, yeah, you're my brother. It's not some instant resolution, especially when the fact that Percy and Tyson seem to get along pretty well.
Right.
And then on the subject of Cyclopses, what did they do with the backstory for Annabeth hating Cyclopses? Because in the book it made sense. Her, Talia, and Luke, they were tortured, mentally and physically.
By Cyclopses. That's why she doesn't like them.
Yes, exactly. And that makes sense. But then it's just like, oh, Cyclopses killed Talia. Anything can kill you!
Literally anything!
This is the world you live in! Like, and then, Anaclemosis, Riptide, is the cursed blade.
Good lord.
No! Spoilers! Big spoilers! Massive spoilers! The cursed blade was a knife that Luke gave Annabeth and promised that he wouldn't leave her and that he would protect her. When he betrayed them, that became a curse. And that knife became the only thing that could help stop Kronos.
Right.
Anaclemosis was a red herring.
Exactly.
It was a diversion a smart diversion because Rick Riordan's a genius and the people who made this movie are a bunch of idiots.
Yeah.
And again, Percy worship. Percy kills Kronos by himself. And then
He's
Annabeth's like, oh Percy. And then I guess somebody on the film crew, like writing the script, was a Percy Jackson fan, and he was getting shut up all the time. And he was just like, okay, time to shut up this Percy worship. And then she just gets killed by the Chimera.
Right.
And then there's this whole lovey-dovey moment of Percy resurrecting her, and it's just like, I want to throw up. And then Luke apparently gets eaten by the Cyclops. I'm pretty sure that the Titan's curse, he'd be alive somehow.
Yeah. And that's the thing. The Chimera was brought in from the third book.
Yes,
that was the monster that attacked them while they were trying to. No,
that was the Manticore.
Oh, well.
Oh, right. It was a Manticore. It wasn't a Chimera.
Okay, because it looked the same, because it had like the freaking scorpion tail. And like when I was reading the third book again, I'm like, wait a minute, isn't this the monster from the third book?
Right.
The second movie?
Yeah, except in the third book, it was a freaking awesome bad guy.
Yeah.
They
also forgot to take into account in the second movie, they already had like a scene where Annabeth almost died. She got hit in the head by a rock.
Yeah.
With the Cyclops.
Yeah. They almost all drowned.
Yeah, they all almost drowned. She got hit in the head. They had to get her with the fleece. She was in critical condition because her head split open.
And that happened, and it was good. But in the movie, it was bad.
Just gets stabbed in the back by a scorpion tail monster.
And then Clarice comes in, kills it, and it turns to dust, like in the books. Yeah, except that was established from the beginning. That scene is the epitome of how bad the movie is with its world-building people. It has a character you didn't know existed in the first movie, killing a creature that turns to dust like it does in the book. But you didn't read the book, so how would you know that? And in the first movie, they didn't turn to dust.
Didn't happen. And then they have the audacity to set it up like there's going to be another movie after this.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that point, but I first want to bring up the fact that after that, I don't think they realized what they were supposed to do. Because in the book, there was a chariot race. Like, there was a chariot race at the beginning, and there was a chariot race at the end to highlight how the journey through the Sea of Monsters improved Annabeth and Percy's relationship as teammates.
Right.
In the beginning, they were arguing with each other and just weren't getting along, but in the end, they co-pilot a chariot, and they win the race, and, it's all good.
Exactly.
And then the book starts to wrap up with the twist. But in the movie, it's very awkward.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh no, we gotta extend this out to the last moments, and that's it. And in fact, it was so unoriginal, I forget what happened.
I don't. The only thing I particularly remember is that they showed an image of the coffin of Kronos, and it starts glowing again, and then Percy's narrating something.
Yeah, that's at the very end. I remember the very end because the very, very end is pretty much a one-for-one shot of what the book was.
Yeah, I don't remember what happened at the end except for that.
Yeah, Percy was just going about his business, and then Grover ran up and it was just like, guys, we got a problem. And then they just ran up the hill, and they saw this girl laying down near the tree, and it's just like, who are you? And she was like, I'm Talia.
Oh, yeah, that's
Talia
right.
Grace,
Talia
daughter
exists.
of Zeus. And then they realized, oh, crap. Kronos boned us. Because, for people who didn't know, when Talia died, she was 15 years old. And when the Titan's curse starts, she's about to turn 16.
Right.
So, yeah, Kronos was one smart cookie. He had backup plans within his backup plans.
He got close to achieving.
Close. Yes. But you're right. And again, another great casting choice because the girl who was playing Talia, she did look like Talia.
Yeah, and unfortunately she only got one line.
Oh, yeah, she got one line.
Oh, wait, yeah, in the beginning of the movie she was there too, but that's it.
No, that was a little girl playing her.
Oh.
But yes, we reached the end, finally. And we can all agree on one thing, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. It was terrible. Absolutely, unbelievably terrible. Just It's a bad movie.
Yeah.
It's poorly written, it's boring, it's confusing beyond belief, and it fails at being both a sequel to The Lightning Thief and as a film fans would want to watch. Fans of the
Yeah,
books.
it's just generic action movie.
Mm-hmm. It is bad. Through and through. We can
Exactly. It
recommend The
just
Lightning Thief all day long. We cannot recommend The Sea of Monsters. It's bad.
uh-uh.
It's
Like
bad.
it just took the source material and just sucked all the life and originality out of it and just
Right.
like chucked it at like somebody's just like, yeah, we can make something with this.
Yes, it tried to make something as generic as possible. Unfortunately, for some reason, they succeeded. The
Yeah.
film had a budget of $90 million. Box
They
office, $200.9 million made.
yeesh.
Yes. And that was because they suckered people in with trailers that said, oh, this is going to be a good movie. It wasn't.
Nope.
It wasn't.
Effectively deceived again.
Yep. And so, life went on, as to put it. Read the third Percy Jackson book, Titan's Curse. Titan's Curse is my favorite book in the series.
Yeah, I think that one's definitely one of my favorites. I think I like Battle of the Labyrinth. That one I think is my favorite.
Right. From Titan's Curse to Battle of the Labyrinth, it goes, well, to all the books in order. Lightning Thief, good. Sea of Monsters, great. Titan's Curse, amazing. And then the Battle of the Labyrinth, awesome. Last Olympian, Avengers Endgame level good.
Yeah, it just kept getting better.
Right. So you might be wondering when the movie comes in. That's the problem. Because, well, we actually don't know what happened, but we do know one thing. Titan's Curse did not get made.
No.
No.
They seem to think we're gonna make another one. No, you're not. You lost your chance. You destroyed it.
The only real interview that I found that talks about that in some regard was Logan Lerman, who was talking about it. This was a report that was talked about, and I'm quoting from Wikipedia here. Logan Lerman has said Percy Jackson 3 could still go ahead, and that the previous report was taken out of context or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because someone quoted that, apparently the sequel was happening, said Logan Lerman said that, didn't say that.
Nope.
And then in 2015, at the Santa Barbara International Film Festival, Lerman said that while he did enjoy making the Percy Jackson films, so we at least know that nobody on the cast or crew had a bad time, which is good.
Yeah, that's good at least.
He did express concern that he and his co-stars were growing too old for their parts.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
That's
because
the problem.
You made them 16.
Yes, and even in the Sea of Monsters, they tried to alter the prophecy to make it work, but it didn't work. Once again,
Exactly.
compare it to the Harry Potter movies. Because they cast the actors at the right age,
you grew with them. You got to see them get older.
Exactly.
And it was like the good age. They ended at like 17 years old. But with
Yes.
Percy Jackson, they tried to age up the characters. And
it didn't work.
You have no future with that because the actors are going to get too old and then you're going to have to change actors and then people are going to be like, what the heck happened?
Yes, exactly. And nobody likes that. Because as I said, Logan Lerman was a pretty good Percy Jackson. And if someone were to take over and he wasn't as good as Logan Lerman, then what would happen?
It would kind of take you out of the experience a little bit.
Yes, but we don't know what exactly led to the cancellation of the sequel. We can only speculate, and I honestly have a theory. I think that the big issues with the movies, the first one focusing on the story more so than the universe, and the second one focusing on the universe more so than the story, caused a bit of a problem with the production team because they didn't know how to move forward because Titan's Curse is heavily dependent on the events that happened in the first two movies.
Right.
The first two books. And since both movies were very, very different in terms of story and all of that, it made adapting the books from that point onward impossible.
Yeah, like you can't go forward from what just happened.
Exactly, you can't. It would be impossible. Absolutely impossible. But I also think it's
It's
because
yeah.
nobody liked those movies.
Yeah, it's just like
It's
you had a $90 million budget and you only made like 2 million back. There's
200
some
million.
200 million back.
That's considered a box office success.
But
However,
compared to the movie budget, no.
right. But and I also think it's because at that time Rick Riordan was still like, "Oh, I'm not done yet. I'm still writing the Heroes of Olympus. I'm still writing the Kane Chronicles, and I'm starting a whole new series, Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard, people. We're going to have it all covered." And then Rick Riordan would go on to establish Rick Riordan Presents, which allowed every young authors to write their own mythology-based stories that would get published as books.
Right.
And, he was quadrupling down on this, and all the books are great. They're fantastic.
Exactly.
And they're all part of the same shared universe, which means that the Percy Jackson series was doing a shared universe before Marvel was.
Right.
Well, that's not fair, though, but you know what I mean. The point
Right.
is, I think they suddenly realized, we can't do this. This is
Yeah.
impossible. Which is a shame because, like we brought up, the actress who played Talia probably could have done a great job.
Yeah.
But
if she'd been given more.
Yes, if they had cared in the first place.
Right.
And then there's the alternative theory that Rick Riordan was making so much money that he was probably going to sue.
Yeah, and they were probably afraid of that.
Yeah, so, pull the plug. But that was also around the time when Disney was really starting to, gather a lot of things together and just get all of their properties in order. Like with Marvel and Star Wars and all that.
Right.
And, just hand it over. So I think in the end, Disney got the rights to Percy Jackson.
Yeah, and I hope they do it justice.
Right. And that brings us back to what incited this. In 2020, which was a bad year, but one of the good things that happened in it was that Rick Riordan announced that a Disney Plus series was coming of the I goofed it. Hold on. Rick Riordan announced that there would be a Percy Jackson series on Disney Plus.
Right.
Because apparently a lot of people have been telling Disney, we want Percy Jackson. Give us Percy Jackson. And they were like, okay. And then they put the movies on Disney Plus and just like, oh, wait, that's not what you wanted?
Not that Percy Jackson.
Not that one! Yes. And then they were like, oh, you want a series. And then Rick Riordan was probably like, as long as I'm in charge, we're good. Because Disney Hyperion, their publishing division, publishes the Percy Jackson books.
Right.
And I always loved those books, how they looked and all the covers and stuff. Very beautiful. Very beautiful artwork. But yes, so Rick Riordan decided that he was going to have his own production studio, headed by himself and his wife. And that led to the creation of Mythomagic Productions, which is...
And also a nice little callback to the books, because Mythomagic is the game that Nico is into when he's introduced.
Yes, the Discount Magic the Gathering. I was about to bring that up. Because that's what it is, essentially. Discount Magic the Gathering. But, yeah, so, naturally, he rejoiced. And I did a little more digging. I mean, I'm going to have to pull the website real fast. But suffice to say, people were very happy with this announcement.
Yeah.
It's one thing, the one thing I'll give Disney is that, with the MCU, they just let Marvel do what they do best, and those are still great films, and they're still doing great to this day. So they're very good at just letting their creators go wild and make something that is legitimately good.
Right.
But here is what the official page about Mythomagic on Rick Riordan's website has to say. Mythomagic Incorporated is a production company founded by Rick and Becky Riordan, Its immediate goal is to facilitate the development of Rick's intellectual properties into great television and film. To do this, Rick and Becky serve as full producers on projects. Their role is to act as guardians of the source material and work with their film industry partners to make the best possible adaptations. That is great.
Yeah, definitely.
That does remind me of the way me and my siblings would describe it when we see a bad adaptation of a book. It's just like, they should just hire someone to stand next to the director with a copy of the book, and when the director wants to do something completely different, they just smack him with the book. Serious? And
yes.
That's essentially what they're doing. They're just going to be not literally, metaphorically speaking, they're just going to be standing there with the books, and it's just going to be like,
it's like, what if we age Percy up again? No, we did that last time. It was not good.
Yes, we did that last time. Was not good. Not good at all. It was bad, a disaster. But yes, it's like, this is a good thing. Now that the creators are on board and in charge of what's going to be made, this is hopefully going to lead to a lot of good things down the road.
Yes.
Because as of right now, they got like two separate projects in development.
Right, like they're doing something with the Kane Chronicles.
Right, so just to specify, there's the Percy Jackson and the Olympians TV series that's coming to Disney Plus, and all of the seasons are going to be based on the books.
Yeah.
Which is great. Very smart idea.
Yeah, because the books would, like, if you're going to adapt books into anything, you got to do a TV series. There's only so much you can fit into a 2-hour movie.
That's right. So, that's off to a great start. And then, confusingly, over on Netflix, they're doing films based on the Kane Chronicles, which is about Egyptian mythology.
Right.
And the Kane Chronicles is a lot easier to adapt into movies because it's just a trilogy.
Yeah, it's just a trilogy.
Yes, but Percy Jackson as a series definitely makes sense.
Definitely. Like, now, I could see, like, if it's like one season per book.
Right. And that's just a smart move. And then again, and just to clarify, as of right now, the shows on Disney Plus are top tier quality. Just fantastic. So everything seems to be in perfect shape. I just hope that in the future, this leads to like a big movie with like all the characters teaming up. Just like end up having this big war between all the different pantheons, and then they all gotta come together and put an end to it.
I mean, to be honest, I don't know if you've read the Trials of Apollo books.
No, I haven't actually.
It's not really big spoilers, but something is kind of hinted at the very end of the Tower of Nero. Because, like, Chiron comes back from something and he's like, oh, I was just needing from some other people from other pantheons. We share a common problem. Oh,
right. I did read about that. I've been following along with the general plot.
There seems to be some sort of hint. And while Rick, I don't think is going to be making any more full-on like series in the Percy Jackson universe. He's done with that. Right. But I think he's definitely thinking of doing some standalone things. Like I've heard talk about something having to do with the Hunters of Artemis, something having to do with like Nico, because I would like to see more Nico content. He is my favorite character.
Exactly. And that's good because like the dude has been writing like 15 books so far, in addition to the Kane Chronicles, which is 3 books, and Magnus Chase, which is also a trilogy.
Right.
And then those awesome crossover short stories between the Kane Chronicles and Percy Jackson. Dude has a lot on his plate. I can understand if he just wants to take a break and just work on something that is just smaller.
Right.
Yeah. And then at the same time focus on bringing his Everworks to life in film and television. And, super excited to see that. Because as we've made clear, we don't want to go back to what came before.
Right.
Like, we don't want that again.
Yeah, it was not good.
It was not good. And if you decide to go out and watch those movies, you do you. But at least read the books first.
Yeah.
Get a good idea.
And, yeah. It's like, you can continue on. Okay. I do have one other thing to bring up, though.
All right. Get a good idea of what the story is. and then watch the movies, and you'll see why the books, in this case, are superior to the movies.
Right. And if you've seen the movies and want to cleanse your mind, or don't really want to watch the movies but still want to like see something having to do with the Lightning Thief that's not the book, there is a musical.
All right.
The Broadway musical. I don't think it's not. I think it ends I think it stopped its run on Broadway a little bit before COVID hit, so you can't really see it anymore. But there is a soundtrack on Spotify, so you can take a listen to it. I've taken a listen to it, and it's really good.
Nice.
It like hits all the important. It's like it hits all the important points. Clarice is in there. They got Ares in there. The subtle build up to Luke betraying them is there. He's not an obvious bad guy. He doesn't have like an angsty song number in the middle of it or something. Talia is mentioned. They have a whole song about that.
Nice.
It's good. So if you wanted to see something with that, and you're like a musical theater geek like I am, the Percy Jackson musical is really good. And it would be really cool if they could, adapt the rest of the books into it, because I think that would be awesome.
That is definitely true. And I'm pretty sure somewhere on YouTube there's like a whole dramatic reading of the books.
Probably. I mean, there's audiobooks all over the place.
That's right. And that, I believe, will conclude our lengthy discussion / rant about Percy Jackson.
Right.
Yeah, definitely had a lot to get off our chest about this.
It's been pent up for years.
Yes, we are indeed very big Percy Jackson fans. And Rick Riordan, if you're watching this, we love what you do. We absolutely love it. And we hope that these next projects, this television series, and the movies of the Kane Chronicles, we hope that it's fantastic.
Yeah. One thing is, like, a lot of people are weary about the Disney Plus stuff because of the disaster that was Artemis Fowl.
Don't worry, Sam. We'll talk about that someday.
But a lot of people are weary because, like, oh god, what if they screw up Percy Jackson again?
Yeah. Oh boy.
But
I don't think that's
thankfully
going to happen.
It seems that Rick is on the project, so he won't let that happen.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he will pull out an actual Riptide sword and go to war with Bob Iger, if Bob Iger's still in charge of Disney. I'm pretty sure he'll do that. It's just,
the moment is my strays. What if we... No!
Absolutely not! But... And... gosh, dang it. I'm confused now. Oh, right. Shoutouts. Let's wrap this all up and move on to our shoutouts of the day. Sam, I know you had a shoutout that you wanted to do. So,
all right.
Kick us off.
So I would like to shout out Sailor Moon Turtle on TikTok. Since this is a Percy Jackson themed episode, I figured it would be fitting to shout out somebody who does a lot of Percy Jackson cosplays, and Percy Jackson cosplays she does do. She is mainly known for her Hazel Levesque cosplay, which she does fantastically, but she cosplays from all over the Riordanverse. She does Carter Kane. She does Charles Beckendorf. She also does stuff from like various animes and Studio Ghibli films, and some like old TV shows. So there is something for everybody there, and you should definitely give her some views and attention. She deserves it, and she's really nice.
Exactly. And my shout out goes to Raccoon Pancakes. I found them because they have a really, really good Funtime Freddy. In hindsight, this seems kind of ridiculous because you have a shout out all relating to the theme of the video. I'm still on FNAF. But yeah, she does do great cosplays, and I do recommend you check it out. And their usernames shall be in the description of this video, along with our social media, if you want to follow us and keep up to date. What's going on? Sam?
Yeah.
Thanks again for going on this wild ride and being able to rant about these movies.
Yep, I've had a lot of pent-up anger about these movies for years.
As have I. And once again, we want to thank you guys for joining us. If you want to see more of the N.A.S Cast, because there will be more, make sure you subscribe to the No Other Arc YouTube channel, and you will get updates on when a new N.A.S Cast comes out. And we're hopefully going to try to make this as regular as possible. At least like maybe 2 or 3 episodes a month. We don't know.
Yeah, that seems realistic.
Yeah, but because we got lives, or we got to live, so we can't do this full time. But we're definitely going to try to do this as much as possible because, as you can tell, we're both having a good time.
Yes.
All right. Well, once again, folks, thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time. Peace out and goodbye.
See ya.